Gamecocks and Gamecocks, for the first time in college football history, will square off on Saturday at Williams-Brice Stadium. And what a tumultuous couple of weeks it's been, really culminating in this week. Things that have happened on the field, off the field, including yours truly, including TSUS, not including yours truly, not including TSUS. It's just the fallout and the results of a fan base where vitriol-laced apathy has set in, and the frustrations of a 2-6 product are boiling over. But the good news is this: South Carolina returns home, a place that they've only played 3 times and have been a different ball club each of those 3 times, even in the loss to the Florida Gators. We mentioned earlier, guys, the splits. South Carolina averaging just 16 points per game on the road versus 41 points per game at home. Spencer Rattler, he's been a different player completely. You look at the completion percentage, you look at the touchdowns, you look at the picks, this going all the way back to the Tennessee game last season. And this is a football team, guys, and a football program that's just looking for anything positive right now. You go through a winless October. You've lost 4 consecutive games, right? You were sitting at 2-2. It was like all the hopes and dreams and aspirations of the season were still in front of South Carolina. Then you get demoralized by Tennessee. Then you really lose the backbreaker against Florida. Then you get trounced by Mizzou. And then you lose to Texas A&M in a game that maybe the most infuriating thing is that the game was there for the taking, and you could not do anything to take advantage. 3 of the 4 losses coming by double digits, and really we wish the 4th loss would have too, because that Florida game was excruciating the way it took place. Many fans will look at this game, Conference USA opponents, they're just Jacksonville State, first year in FBS. Okay, this is the get-right opportunity. This is a get-right game, what we've all been waiting for. Unfortunately, guys, I don't see this as a get-right game from the standpoint of South Carolina's going to win this thing 49-6, 45-10. I would love to see it happen. And with the way South Carolina has scored points in bunches at home, maybe it will. But make no mistake, Jacksonville State is a quality football team. They are a team that's well coached with Rich Rodriguez, one of the best in the business, has a long track record of winning and explosive offenses. And they will come into this game on Saturday expecting to win. There is no question. This game reminds me a lot of the Georgia State game last year, where it's a quote-unquote lesser opponent, but you've got a lot of respect for the opponent on the other side. And that's how South Carolina better be attacking this football game, because if not, guys, this is a game South Carolina can lose. There's no question. Let's go ahead and throw that out there. The good news is, again, the Gamecocks, South Carolina Gamecocks, are at home, a place that they've been just a completely different football team. And while I know this is a noon game, it's not the typical night Williams-Brice Stadium environment. What's the environment like for a 2-6 Shane Beamer squad? I think it'll be solid. Steve Spurrier being honored, that 2009-13 squad, the best era in Gamecock football history, being honored at halftime. It's a big day in Columbia, really, truly. On the offensive side, I do expect South Carolina to get back to what we've seen them do at home on that side of the football, right? It's a banged-up team, right? I mean, who are you counting on the line of scrimmage? Who's going to block for you? Is Xavier Legette back to 100%? Like, there are so many question marks due to injuries. But I think on the offensive side, I do think you're going to see Spencer Rattler return to form. I think he loves playing at Williams-Brice Stadium. I think the competition softens. It has been softer at home. I think you're going to see more of that, more of the same. I'm not saying Rattler's going to be 15 of 15 for 220 through three quarters, but I think you're going to see a much improved version of Spencer Rattler. I am very, very intrigued to see how South Carolina's offensive line handles this Jacksonville State defensive line led by Chris Hardy and J. Rock Swain. Guys, they've been fantastic. It's one of the best pass rushes in Conference USA. They have 26 sacks on this season. Heck, they're one of the best in college football getting after the quarterback. So keeping Spencer Rattler upright should be priority number one. I think Mario Anderson is primed to have a big day, guys. I could see 100-plus incoming for Mario. This is a guy that, with no blocking, I mean, you can't say enough good things about Mario Anderson and what he's done for Gamecocks football with a musical chairs offensive line and an offensive line held together by Scotch tape. I mean, he's a guy that just, it has not mattered. It has not mattered. He's found a way. He reminds me of the great Corey Boyd for South Carolina, where he is the hammer, never the nail. He's going to deliver the blow. It doesn't matter if it's for a 1-yard gain, an 11-yard gain, a 50-yard gain. He delivers the blow every time. So I think Mario Anderson, you could see him go 100-plus. I think he will. And I think this could be the breakout game for Nick Harbor. I could very well see it. Because you look at Jacksonville State, and you look at the matchup of South Carolina's passing offense with Spencer Rattler, JSU, their struggle stopping the pass. And, guys, you have to think, who does Jacksonville State have that's going to cover in Nicholas Harbor? Who? Who do they have? I mean, realistically, who do they have? So I could see this being that 100-plus, 1 or 2 touchdown game for Nick Harbor. And on the defensive side, guys, again, it reminds me a lot of the Georgia State game last year to kick off the season, where they're going to lean on running game. They're going to lean on quarterback run game. They're going to move people around in motion. They're going to do different things to get South Carolina off balance, to get the rushing attack going. Although the numbers say you should throw on South Carolina, right? The numbers say you should throw on the Gamecocks. I think they're going to try to establish the run early. They got a fantastic running game, one of the best in Conference USA. Their quarterback's a veteran in Zion Webb. He's a 7th-year player, guys. But on that note, I think South Carolina, I think they see multiple quarterbacks in this game, right? And in Zion Webb, his last performance against FIU, granted FIU ran for over 100 yards, a touchdown. Like, they're going to do a lot in the running game to get South Carolina off balance. So I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle there. And as I mentioned, I don't think this is going to be the get-right game, the feel-good game in the sense of 49-6 or 56-7, like maybe some people are hoping. Guys, when I saw the spread come out, I think it opened up at 13. Now it's sitting around 16. I hate to say this. It pains me to say this. But I look at that spread and I say, is South Carolina 16 points better than anybody right now? Are they? I mean, are they really? I mean, guys, the only game that South Carolina has won convincingly was over Furman, and that game was a nail-biter for an entire half. That being said, the best news for South Carolina, they return to the friendly confines in front of their home fans. And this has been a different football team at Williams-Brice Stadium. I think the offense gets going yet again. I think Spencer Rattler returns to form. We see him do what he's done all year at Willie B. I think the breakout game for Nicholas Harbor, not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I think that win could be Saturday. I think you see Mario Anderson get over 100 yards. Again, I think Spencer Rattler and company, I think they expose a pretty soft Jacksonville State passing defense. I think JSU, Rich Rod, they're going to get theirs offensively. I think they're going to be able to run the football a little bit. I don't trust this Gamecocks defense to have some sort of dominating performance. And I think, again, they're going to have a great plan. Rich Rodriguez is still one of the best in the business when it comes to offensive game planning. And I think you're going to see them keep Carolina off balance. But at the end of the day, being at home, I think talent will shine through. Again, I don't think it's going to be that get right, feel good game winning by 30 or 40 points, but I think South Carolina, bottom line, is going to get a much needed win. It's going to be a double digit victory. And I think it'll be the momentum boost that South Carolina needs to kick off the month of November. Lock me in. I've got Gamecocks 38, Jacksonville State 27. Again, in a game that maybe the game isn't even as close as this final score may indicate. Maybe it doesn't feel like an 11-point contest. But, guys, I've seen nothing thus far that would tell me that just because JSU is Conference USA and there's a slight drop-off in competition, I've seen nothing that tells me that Carolina's going to go out there and boat race Jacksonville State or anybody for that matter. So I think getting a win over a quality Conference USA team, I think that should be looked at as a victory. You build some momentum. You figure some things out from there. Then you ramp up a little bit with Vandy. Then you get into Kentucky and Clemson, and we all see what happens. But again, guys, I've got South Carolina beating Jacksonville State, getting a much-needed win in their first win in what feels like forever, 38-27, and claiming the official title and solidifying that South Carolina Gamecocks are the real Gamecocks in college football.